rainfall. And before we dive into the weather, I do want to give a big shout out to all of our friends in Greene County and in West Alabama. We had so many that stopped by yesterday to have their weather radio programmed. You know, Utah is an area that's been hard hit. We stopped there at Mills Pharmacy, downtown Utah, Alabama, and we programmed over 100 weather radios yesterday, so it was nice to see folks there, and also installing the First Alert weather app. But big shout out again to our friends in West Alabama. Well, let's get into it. And West Alabama, well, that's the hot spot for the rain right now. We've seen those showers and storms. It looks like the greatest chance back off to the southwest. We do have a code orange air quality alert, the first of the season. That will be for tomorrow for higher ozone concentrations at the surface. So if you're very sensitive to those higher ozone concentrations, I know we've been talking a lot about the particulates with the smoke that's been in the atmosphere, but a lot of that for us has been more aloft. But with this condition, we do need to be extra cautious if we're very sensitive to those higher ozone concentrations there late morning into the afternoon. Next big increase in rain, though. Next thing you need to know as far as when's our next best chance of rain, it looks like late Sunday and into Monday of next week. So where's it raining right now? Well, you can see we're dry across East Alabama areas to the north, and where we've seen the rain so far this afternoon, that's where it's going to stay. In fact, it's going to shift even further south and west. But Birmingham points north, points east. I just wouldn't count on a lot of rainfall. I would plan on watering where we're going to continue to see some of these isolated pop-ups. Pickens County, Lamar, you can see some wet weather, some storms there moving south. There was one little shower, looks like maybe a little tiny shower there around Bessemer that might be moving to the south, but that's about it. Again, the greatest area of rain that I'm seeing in our area at this time is this one cluster you can see moving down into Pickens County, which has weakened. If this holds together, we can end up with some wet weather down into southern Pickens County. We had a story on the news tonight talking about water outages there in the city of Reform. So for folks there that haven't been able to do any watering with respect to the garden, we're getting some much needed rainfall there as that drops to the south and east direction. So that's what next 60 minutes looks like as this continues tracking south. Again, you can see that code orange air quality alert that we had. This will be for Friday for Jefferson and Shelby counties. And coming up here on Weather Extra, meteorologist Matt Daniels is going to tell us a little bit more about the air quality. And of course, that's been a big story across the eastern U.S. Also coming up here on Weather Extra, we go beyond the 7-day forecast, and we're going to be talking about some cooler mornings around the area. And meteorologist Fred Hunter telling us about the Navy Cove Oysters. A fun story as we continue right here on Weather Extra.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome into Good Day, Alabama.
A new morning comes with preparing right, because while you slept, news broke.
We have new information from that breaking news that happened this morning.
While you head out, the storm we gave you the first alert for is on its way in. And as the key turns the ignition, your shorter route to work is being found.
Avoid 459 southbound completely because of a crash.
A new morning means everything you need for a good day is on Good Day Alabama, always on your side.
The First Alert traffic you need to get you there safe and on time. Tomorrow morning, everything you need for a good day is on Good Day Alabama.
You're late, out the door, and on the go. Don't worry.
Good Day, Alabama continues all morning long.
And wherever you watch, this is what you need to know right now.
More reporters on the streets with more hours of news when you need it. Everything you need for a good day is on Good Day Alabama. Knowing first is everything. First Alert Weather.
Welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra. I'm meteorologist Lauren Linehan. We have been seeing some stunning images coming out of New York City over the past 48 hours, all due to wildfires burning in Montreal, Quebec, and that is up in Canada. So we've even been seeing hazy conditions down here in central Alabama. We check in now with meteorologist Matt Daniel to explain the science behind these wildfires.
Hope you had a wonderful Thursday. If you woke up earlier this morning and noticed maybe a reddish hue in the sky or some hazy conditions, that's from the smoke all the way up from Canada that we've been talking about, where it's been really nasty across the Northeast. We had some photos sent in through the First Alert weather app. Robert Franklin showing us the sunrise this morning. You see that hue. That's what happens when you have that smoke. You don't get to see much in the way of other colors except for that orange-red view from there. Here's another view right here, another submitted app through the First Alert weather app from Mike. This is in McCalla showing that color as well. And earlier this morning, if you were watching Mickey Ferguson, we were showing you those sunrises, and you can see those colors in Jasper and Summerton, even here in Birmingham and Chelsea. So that's what happens when you got a little bit of smoke in the atmosphere out there. Of course, the big story has been the smoke up in the Northeast. This was a tweet sent out from the National Weather Service in New York City showing an EarthCam video from the World Trade Center, and you can just see in just hours it goes from clear conditions to, like I've heard, it looks like it's the planet Mars. So just incredible. And this is poor air quality as well. And why is this happening? Well, let's talk about it. Here's what's happening. This is the overall setup. This is Quebec in Canada. You see these fires, these red dots, lots of it. They've had unusually dry weather, unusually warm weather as well. And early in the month, we had a lightning strike, and it resulted in some fire, and then you get some wind, and that fire goes out of control. And that's what we're seeing. We have an area of high pressure, it moves clockwise, and we've had an area of low pressure in the Northeast and moves counterclockwise. So you can see the flow, and all that smoke is traveling towards the south and then eventually to the east. So you can see those plumes of smoke making all their way into New York City, into Washington, D.C., and wherever that flow sets up is who's going to see all that smoke. And you can even see some of that high pressure bringing in some of that smoke as well into parts of the southeast. So this is going to be a continuing issue for several days, weeks, maybe even a couple of months until these fires are controlled, because wherever that wind direction sets up could spread perhaps into the Great Lakes and the Northeast. Who knows? We'll have to see what happens with that. I want to show you the air quality this morning. Earlier this morning, you can see where you start seeing these red and purple dots. The air quality is very unhealthy, very hazardous. You can get sick from it. People are encouraged to wear masks, stay inside, all across New York City and New Jersey, also into the D.C. area. And even down here in the south, it's not horrible. But we're seeing some yellows and orange dots indicating moderate air quality, so maybe unhealthy for some sensitive groups. So that's what we've been watching for today, and we're going to continue to watch the air quality as we go into the next several days. So here's the future forecast going into this evening tonight. Just really bad air quality and smoke across Buffalo, and also notice it starts to spread farther to the south and west. So there's Ohio. Their air quality is going to be really reduced, lots of smoke there. Here across the southeast, we'll see a little bit, but nothing like what we're seeing up across parts of the Great Lakes and into the mid-Atlantic for this evening tonight into tomorrow morning. So here's the air quality index just to give you an idea. And if it's below 100, it's not too bad. It's pretty acceptable. But once it gets above 100, it gets a little unhealthy for sensitive groups. And when you see those reds and purples, it is very unhealthy and hazardous. And that's what we saw in New York City yesterday. It was hazardous for everyone, and it was the worst air quality in the world yesterday at that time. Usually you'll see really bad air quality in parts of China at times, or India due to pollution, but because of that smoke, it was well above 300. So fire weather statistics, just to give you a brief idea. Wildfire seasons are getting longer and they are intensifying, and we've definitely seen that in parts of Texas, California, Oregon, Washington. They're experiencing fire weather more than twice as often now than they were experiencing in the early 1970s. And even parts of New England has seen a decrease in annual fires. So there's been some weird changes. So we're not seeing as much perhaps across the eastern U.S., but we're seeing more of that. We're seeing drought, extended heat waves, and of course, doesn't take a lot. Dry thunderstorm lightning, someone starting fires, something like that can create some major issues. So we're definitely seeing more annual fire weather days west of the Mississippi than so far in the east. You notice even in Alabama, we're seeing a few of those fire days as well. So here it is for Alabama. Fire weather days change in hot, dry, and windy conditions starting in 1973 and going all the way to 2022. And you can see the general trend. We're seeing more days, just 4 days extra of fire weather across here in Alabama and parts of the southeast. But of course, it is definitely worse across the west. And unfortunately, with Canada, it was a very rare situation where they've seen unusually warm temperatures, dry weather, fires, and that smoke making its way into the United States. We'll continue to monitor the air quality and those fire weather days as we go into the summer and fall months.
Great information there. Thanks, Matt. Well, turning our attention now to the Gulf Coast versus up in Canada. Eric Bradley was raised on a crawfish farm in Louisiana, so the Gulf of Mexico and its abundance have always been part of his life. A few years ago, he made his home in Baldwin County, but the love of seafood and the Gulf remained. And now Eric is part of a growing movement along the Gulf in a process called oyster ranching. Meteorologist Fred Hunter, aka Mr. Absolutely Alabama himself, talked with Eric about his Navy Cove oysters, about some myths surrounding the succulent seafood, and how one of those long-standing myths is connected to the weather.
Well, we have another very special guest from the great Gulf Coast with us on Weather Extra here. Eric Bradley joins us. Eric and I have been acquainted for quite some time. Eric is with Navy Cove Oysters down there, down Fort Morgan Road in Baldwin County. And Eric, thanks for taking the time to join us. This is a pretty busy season, I would expect, as summer rolls around in Baldwin County.
Sure is, Fred. We've been hard at work down there. Summertime's a big season for us because in the fall and the spring here we get our new crop. So we're sorry about the noise. I'm at Ghost Train Brewing Company in Birmingham, so if there's a little noise, I do apologize.
Okay, well you've made the arduous journey north to join us, so we appreciate the effort. And
you got it,
Eric. First of all, Navy Cove. There's a reason Navy Cove oysters are called Navy Cove oysters, and that goes in with part of the history of that part of Alabama where you are.
Right, Fred. We're not far from Fort Morgan, the actual fort, and right there at Navy Cove is World War I, World War II. War 1812, the Navy would park their ships there as an anchorage because we need a safe harbor for our oysters, and it created a safe harbor for those ships. So it's natural with that body of water being named Navy Cove that we name our oysters Navy Cove oysters.
And the process that you go through, now this is a little different from the way oysters were once harvested down there. This is a relatively new process that came after things like hurricanes and Gulf oil spills and the problems that we had with our native oysters down there. And some of the wiser heads came up with an idea that you could farm or ranch these oysters. So you literally...
Yeah, we're literally ranchers. We have to take our oysters to the vet. So my business partner, Dr. John Supan, and his colleagues, they condition an oyster that would stand up to the warmer temperatures in the Gulf Coast and be resistant to dermo and some other bacteria. So that oyster is able to grow year round. So it's actually a triploid oyster that doesn't reproduce, whereas your Gulf wild reef oysters are diploid oysters, and they reproduce. And in the summertime is when they reproduce. So they lose all their fat and glycogen cells. They become a little bit more milky, chalky, flaccid. Whereas these triploid oysters that are grown mostly in these off-bottom cultures from Louisiana all the way to Florida, we do that triploid oyster, and it doesn't reproduce, so it stays a fat, meaty oyster year-round. So it's very great to eat it, even in the warmer months.
And I think I recall the first time you and I met, you said if you wanted a fresher oyster, you'd have to wait out there and get it yourself, because you literally take the oysters and they're in the bay one day, and then you're plating them up over at your place right across the road, literally at Sassy Bass. It's just one of the places you can get Navy Cove oysters.
Yes, sir. We work closely with our wholesaler, Bonsecourt Fisheries, with Chris Nelson and his staff, and they've been great to us. And the oysters are the most highly regulated food in the United States, more than pork, more than poultry, more than lettuce. So depending on the time and temperature and the time of the year, we have to have those oysters in refrigeration within an hour. So it's not giving time for that Vibrio or any of that bacteria to grow, because we're getting them right in the refrigeration, right off the farm. So I like to tell people when I give my tours, we're doing ecotourism tours now on the farm, I like to tell people, it's a fact and it's a myth. The facts is, used to, we had oyster tongers who didn't have refrigeration on their boats, and those oysters would sit on the hull of a boat, and they would start getting that bacteria in them. But now, it's all the regulations, they have to be in refrigerated, getting them cool, within an hour, getting out the water. And then also that summertime fact is that the triploid oysters that you find, like at Admiral Shellfish Company, Navy Cove, and then some of our friends in Mobile County, that they use these triploid oysters that stay fat and meaty and juicy year-round. So it's a great supplement for the Gulf oysters.
Well, and I think that really addresses, we are in the May, June, and July months when they say, I grew up like a lot of people did that grew up on the Gulf Coast. Eric, you, of course, you heard when you were a kid, well, you're not supposed to eat oysters in months that don't have an R in it, which was May, June, and July. Yep. So that's an old fact, which has kind of become a myth, I guess.
That's correct. You're absolutely right. I had some people from Illinois yesterday out to the farm, and I had got some oysters from Bon Secours that I brought out that had harvested the day before, and those oysters take on the flavor of the vegetation and that water, and we have such good water flowing into Mobile Bay from the Gulf of Mexico. They said that was the best oysters they've ever had in their life, and I have to agree with them.
Well, and I think that was another comment that you made to me. I can't believe it. I'm right here in Baldwin County, Alabama, and people that have eaten oysters all over the country, maybe all over the world, say these are the best oysters in the world. That must make you and your partners down there in Baldwin County feel awfully good.
Oh, it makes us feel mighty proud. We work real hard to put out a great product, and to have some of the best oysters on the Gulf Coast coming from Alabama and being shipped around the country sometimes, and we only have 10 oyster farms down there, and mostly people don't know about it. So I'm trying to educate people and tell them what we have and how great of a product it is, and you can enjoy it year round.
All right. Eric at Navy Cove Oysters, and they can get them, I guess, there in a number of restaurants now in Mobile and Baldwin counties. Eric, and maybe restaurants you're spreading across the South.
Hey, I'm here sampling some restaurants in Birmingham as we speak, and enjoying a cold beer while we do it.
Well, that sounds awfully good. All I've got left right now from my trip down to visit with you is my Navy Cove oyster cap. So I need a new cap, and I need you to fill this one up with Navy Cove oysters next time I come.
You got it, Brad.
All right, Eric Bradley from Navy Cove Oysters, right down Fort Morgan Road there in South Baldwin County. Next time you head to the coast, check out the Navy Cove Oysters. Eric, thanks.
Thanks, Eric and Fred, and I'll definitely be getting some oysters next time I'm at the beach. Coming up on Weather Extra, we check in with Wes for an update on the Super 7-day forecast, and I'll take you beyond it. We'll be right back.
If your bath looks like this or this, you know it's time for a replacement. Hey everybody, Joe here with BJ Worzen, owner of West Shore Home, to talk about how he's making sure you get the best possible value on your shower or bath replacement. BJ.
That's right, Joe. Now more than ever, I want to make sure people are getting the most for their money. And there's a few ways we're doing that. First, we have hundreds of styles and options for your bath remodel, so you can make sure you're getting exactly what you want. Second, as you know, we only use employee installers, never subcontractors. So our crew is going to follow a process to make sure everything is installed properly. And then finally, a few days after the job's done, we're going to give you a call and make sure you're 100% completely satisfied with that experience.
Amazing, because a lot of contractors will show up and the second they're done, the customer's on their own. You're saying West Shore is there every step of the way, even following up after the project's done.
You got that right, and it's all backed by our online reviews. Right now, we have over 26,000 five-star reviews.
That just shows how much you truly care about your customers. Now, how about somebody who needs that shower right now, but has been putting it off because of cost? How can you help them?
So we're making bath remodel affordable for almost any budget. For a limited time, you can get your shower or bath remodeled for only $99 a month. And for anyone's watching this commercial right now, if you call in and mention it, we're gonna throw in free installation as well.
You're saying you'll do the entire project from tear out to complete installation for as low as $99 a month.
That's right, let's take a look at the project. Here's a time-lapse video of one of our installations. You saw there, we started in the morning, removed everything down to the studs, and put in a new shower all in the same day. Here's some more. Easy low-step showers, deep soaking tubs, beautiful wall styles, and modern accessories. We can do jobs like these for as low as $99 a month.
BJ, thanks so much. Folks, West Shore Home is making shower and bath remodeling more affordable than ever. Call now and take advantage of this extended offer. Get your new shower or bath for as low as $99 a month. And you heard BJ, if you call in now, he's going to do free installation on that project as well. Call the experts at West Shore Home now.
Okay, time for our 7-day forecast here on Weather Extra, and we are expecting drier conditions the next couple of days. We're breaking out that code orange air quality alert for tomorrow, the first of the season that we've had for Shelby and Jefferson counties. So if you're very sensitive to those higher ozone concentrations at ground level, certainly want to take it extra easy tomorrow. Take frequent breaks late morning, early afternoon, primarily during that peak heating of the day. Going with 88, 91 on Saturday, but here's the thing. We've got hot afternoons, but some cool mornings, at least the next couple of mornings. There's going to be a lot of 50s when you check in with the Good Day team. We're going to have some 50s on the map early in the day, but 2 mainly dry days. Certainly plan on watering. The next best chance of rain comes in starting on Sunday, and it looks as though next week we'll see higher than average rain chances, at least through the middle of next week. All right, let's get into what's going on right now, and we do have temperatures in the 80s and a little bit of rain making its way across Lamar and Pickens County. These were some intense storms, but they have weakened now, just mostly some light rain and maybe a rumble of thunder. It looks like we got one lightning strike there detected around Carrollton, so the rain a little bit heavier there around Highway 86 down towards Aliceville as that moves to the south. But if this holds together, some of that shower action could reach us here around Tuscaloosa, but this is going to stay well west of Birmingham and Anniston, and the rain chances in the short term through our Friday will remain mostly to the far southwest if we see anything. And the best chance of rain tomorrow for Friday actually is early in the day. During the morning, if we see anything to the southwest, it looks like a dry afternoon. Temperatures rising into the 80s there for our Friday. Get close to 90 degrees, and then again 50s for tomorrow night. So the next big thing is this front. It's moved through today. It's bringing in some drier conditions. It settles into the south, and that's where we're going to see most of the wet weather through Saturday. Notice by Saturday afternoon, if we see scattered development far southwest down into Greene, Sumter counties, but then for Sunday, that deeper moisture starts to move back in. So once we hit the peak heating of the day on Sunday, the storms will start popping. Fingers crossed that we'll see a better coverage here across the eastern half of the state, where we really haven't seen quite as much as western areas so far this week. But that rain chance goes way up late on Sunday. Won't be an all-day washout, just those afternoon storms, more widespread going into the evening and into the day on Monday. So that's what we're watching on the 7-day forecast, and we'll hang on to those rain chances right on through the middle of the week. Looks like the temperatures back off just a little bit, but it's going to feel humid, hot, sticky out there with those lows back in the upper 60s. So we go from low 60s to start the weekend to overnight lows in the upper 60s. But that's what's going on around here locally. I know this time of the year it's hurricane season. Things right now not too active in the tropics, but in that long range, we're certainly going to be keeping a close watch on what happens. Let's head to meteorologist Lauren Linehan. And Lauren, you know, when you go beyond the 7-day here in the summertime, it's a hope for, you know, maybe just a few degrees drop in temperatures, right?
Well, we hope for that, but I got to tell you, not looking very hopeful, Wes, as we look beyond the 7-day. And you mentioned the tropics. We got to keep an eye on that too. Let's start with that temperature outlook 6 to 10 days from now. Check it out. It looks like a good portion of the Gulf Coast, actually all of the Gulf Coast, seeing the potential for above average temperatures temperatures. And yes, that does include us here in central Alabama. So what could that mean in terms of those afternoon highs? Well, as we look at the dates from June 14th through the 23rd, so getting right into the meat of the month, high temperatures possibly getting into the 90s if we do indeed see a pattern that could support a bit of a warm up in the forecast. So 90-degree days, and of course the potential for that humidity going up too could be on the horizon for us. So typically as we get into the summer months, those morning lows, just nothing really to call home about. Typically going to be warm and humid in the mornings. You can see upper 60s, low 70s here as we look beyond the 7-day. Now, as far as that precipitation outlook, we always want to keep an eye on the tropics. It looks like areas across the southern plains, getting into parts of the central Gulf Coast, could be seen below average precipitation. And then for the southern half of Alabama, near average for this time of the year, but potentially a better chance of rain 6 to 10 days from now across the northern third of the state. And that does extend into the Tennessee River Valley and into parts of the Carolina and north and central Georgia. So looking at our futurecast here beyond the 7-day, here we are next Friday, June 16th, showing a little dip in the jet stream here, that southern branch of the jet stream, but that could possibly bring some disturbances down farther to the south of us. We've been talking about next week a northwest flow pattern in place. When you see that northwest flow coming in the mid levels of the atmosphere, that can help to bring disturbances through that can up your rain chances, which is why next week we're forecasting a more unsettled summer pattern. So as we get into next weekend, we'll see if that continues. It still looks like we could be seeing that northwest flow with the possibility of some showers and storms next Saturday. And then here we go into that Sunday. Oh, what's that? What is that? Yep, we've been seeing some of our models indicating maybe there could be some tropical development areas to our south. Now, this is still well over a week out. Here we are Monday, June 19th. I'm not even going to take it forward in time because models at this point are trash. You can't trust them just yet. They give us an idea though, and they like to do this time of the year, that maybe there could be the possibility for some developing area of low pressure in the Gulf. And if we were to see that, maybe you could get something tropical out of it. Not a guarantee, but it's certainly something we're going to be watching. And a lot of times this time of the year in June, we often see tropical development be more homegrown, closer to home being the Gulf of Mexico. So we'll be keeping an eye on things for you. But you can catch us back here tonight on First at 9, checking in with Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt for an update on that 7-day forecast. And you can join us here on Weather Extra weeknights at 6:30. I'm meteorologist Lauren Linehan. Don't forget about that code orange air quality alert for tomorrow, especially if you're in the more sensitive groups, and have a safe and happy Thursday evening.